Well, hello there, and welcome to the Dana Spencer Show, where we talk about solving problems, building relationships, quitting corporate, and the freedom to walk in your God given purpose. So, how are we feeling out there? I hope you are feeling amazing. You've got the activity of your limbs. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm super glad today because I have an amazing guest with me here today. So, everyone, show some love to Mr. Reggie B. Woo! Reggie, how are we feeling today?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
I'm feeling amazing. Super glad you're here. I know you are a busy man, and I am not going to waste your time. So, we're just going to jump right in. So, tell us, Reggie, what exactly was it that you wanted to be when you were a little boy? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be successful, and and while that's a fluid word, the only things I really remember on the school projects when they used to ask, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" I did say an athlete.
You did. Okay. And so then define success. So, what did success mean to you?
So I was actually lazy growing up per se. Success to me was making a lot without working really hard.
That part, I was lazy too. I called myself a lazy teenager. So, you're in good company.
Okay, there it is. There it is. I was a poster child for that.
Now, did you play any sports growing up?
Well, I might have dibbled and dabbled at the park, but as far as structurally being on a team, I was never on a team until I played football my freshman year of high school. And then I never played basketball until I started playing basketball my junior year. So before high school, I was never on a team.
Okay, so you just got mad skills like that. Just freshman, I'm trying out. I'm making the team as a freshman. I've never played little league before. I'm just gonna just make the team. Is that how we
Well,
rolling?
it wasn't like that. With football, everybody makes the team. Remember, because they're looking for numbers. But like when I said I wanted to be an athlete, that was with no vision in mind, no work put in, except for just going to the park in the summers, just playing or playing with my friends, just truly outdoor, unstructured playtime with my friends or whatnot. But uh, I wouldn't say I had math skills at all. I had God given size, so my size was a gift to me. But my skills and my development, I was behind.
So what was it like? So you didn't have that mentality because we all know that athletes have amazing skill sets and they have this mentality of not quitting and never giving up. I mean, just so many things. So as a freshman, this is the first time you've played organized sports. What was that like for you?
It was an adjustment. My first time being held accountable. The first time I had to be somewhere every day and really work hard, work outside my comfort zone, and it was an adjustment, but it was so worth it. I loved it. I loved being pushed to an extent. Let me say that I love being pushed to an extent that I was comfortable being pushed. I had to learn, how to do that, how to go beyond that later. But I loved just being a part of sports. I loved what sports brought and the feeling you got from it.
So outside of that feeling, and I mean, just the teamwork and just so many aspects of playing a sport, what are some of the things that you learned from sports that has actually come over to your everyday life?
Everything, everything about my life is based off my sports experience. I might be extreme with that, but teamwork, camaraderie, communication, adversity, knowing that you can't, no matter how hard you try or how good you are, you might lose. It was a lot that I learned that came from sports it still continues to show up every day.
So what was a big loss that you had to overcome? And then how were you able to do it? I'm thinking about that young man out there that, just lost the championship. It was I ain't gonna say obviously one person doesn't lose a game. We know that, but he feels the weight of the pressure from losing the game. How are you able to overcome such an obstacle?
Well, fortunately for sports, there's another game on the schedule. So I can't, with a straight face, tell you I immediately overcame it. When I mentioned the commitment of having to be there every day for the first time, I don't know if when I was younger I would have showed up tomorrow if there was no other game on the schedule. So that's one way sports helped me actually learn how to show up because I had to show up. There was no quitting, and so I want to just say that sports was my crutch to learn how to show up.
I love that. Your crutch to learn how to show up. Oh my goodness. I mean, the thing that entered in my head was what if you hadn't had sports? So what about those people out there that don't have sports in their life and all of these lessons from sports? Like, what would you tell them?
I
Like, go
mean,
play.
I'll talk about myself for perspective. As a teenager, I was, if we're talking about KFC, I was extra regular, extra regular with no sides, no biscuit, no crispy, no spicy. I was extra regular. And so by saying that, it doesn't mean that you have to play sports to do anything in life. It doesn't mean that, sports makes you better than someone. It just really got me out of a stagnant state and to where I was just kind of existing, floating. I wrote a book called 2.0 to Pro because I was just barely getting by. I was like a 2.0 student, didn't want to do bad because my parents were strict on me, but I didn't want to do good because there would have been expectation to always do good. So I was just right in the middle. I would do enough, just enough.
Wow.
That's why I say regular.
Okay. And so you played at the high school level. Now, did you go on to play at the college level as well?
Yes, I did. I was fortunate enough to figure it out within a few years and get a scholarship to Xavier University.
Okay. And so what position did you play, Xavier?
As I play center.
Center. Oh, wow. Okay. Man, so you are having to protect the quarterback at all times. What's that like?
I mean, well. So this was in basketball. I didn't play at center. I only played football through my junior year until
Okay.
I met basketball per se and fell in love with basketball. But it's still the same thing. You have to protect everybody as far as rim protect and do other things. Use your size and protect people. And so, I mean, it was a great experience because it taught me how to step outside, just letting people carry me per se, and to protect others.
And there's nothing like somebody who knows how to handle the paint. So I'm sure you were really good at handling the paint.
So yes and no. Um, while I was good enough, and that you see, I use it as the words. I learned to figure it out within a few years to get a scholarship. In college, in high school, I only averaged 7 points. In college, even though I was good enough to figure it out to get there, I only averaged 2 points in college, like my entire college career. So um, that's another reason my grade point average was 2.0, and so was my points per game. But even still with that averaging 2 points, I still was able to figure it out enough to be a professional afterwards.
Okay. And so you would go on from Xavier to go professional. Where did you go from Xavier?
Yeah, absolutely. I went to have an 11-year pro career, playing various countries all over the world, even having a quick pit stop, signing a contract with the Atlanta Hawks during the beginning of 2004 season, and the rest of my time just overseas, international at the highest levels.
And, oh man, that's so awesome. So in terms of playing at the highest level and just the wear and tear on your body, like how are you able to recharge from all of that?
It's easier. It's easy when you love it.
Mm,
Since I loved it, there wasn't so much of a recharge, but you have to keep yourself fresh mentally. You have to look at the way and how I was able to do it was the way I looked at problems, the way I handled success. I mean, kind of either one of those on the low end or high end could make you not come back the next day. You think about it, if you have a problem and you look at it wrong, you might not be refreshed. It might wear you down. If you have success, you might let it get to your head where you don't feel you have to come back. So either way, I managed the highs and the lows in the right way.
Now tell us about this book, From 2.0 to Pro. What is this about? I mean, we can kind of gather what it's about, but unpack for us what that's about.
I mean, just simply what we're speaking about is you asked me kind of about my kind of my childhood, and when I say extra regular, my grade point average was 2.0 for those reasons, and my college average was 2.0 because I wasn't great yet, and so I just wrote a book about how to kind of go from one level to the next, a level of average to the next, to be a professional, 2.0 to pro. So.
Now, without giving the entire book away, what are a couple of things for someone just to kind of whet their appetite so that, and we'll put the link to the book in the description, but just to whet their appetite to want to be like, oh my goodness, I got to get this book and know what else. What are some of the things that you can do in order to, get to that next level?
Well, it's a few things. I mean, self-evaluation. I kind of have a principle in there. I teach about net worth, and net worth not about what you have that you've accumulated, but basically what is your mind and your body worth that you make, and how to put a value on what your skills are, what your mindset is, what you know, what your knowledge is, and so calculating your net worth in that way. Other things just about fear, showing people how to get past what fear is to them, because this fear is different from me to you to the next person. So it has a lot of tidbits in there that hold people who are operating in their version of average and how to get to the next level.
Oh, wow. You said two like key buzzwords that I talk about all the time. The first one being mindset. Mindset is everything. If you don't believe that you can do whatever it is you want to accomplish and then change that, what I talk about a lot of times is, we have that I can't mindset. I don't know if you read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki,
Oh,
where,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and you have to have the mindset of how can I? What I say is that when you say I can't, like you shut off the creative juices. Like there's no more thinking because you just said, you know what? I can't do it.
Correct.
And the other one was fear. When you think about fear, you just think about water. Some people love water. Some people are afraid of water. It's the same water. It's the same water you take a shower with. This is the same water that you drink. But for whatever reason, in my mind and in someone else's, there is a fear that are associated with that. What are some things that we can do to overcome those fears that are internal?
Well, you can look at it and find out what about it do you fear? What about it is the problem? A lot of times we worry about the problem. We worry about the problem. We worry about what it is that we fear. And in reality, it might not be the problem. Like there's something we can do about it. I kind of gave a scenario in a seminar last week just about the remote. You can't find the remote. The first thing we say is, I can't watch my show. The game is on. The game is on. And well, yeah, that's the problem. You can't watch the game, but like find the remote. But the game is on. Like that, we keep saying it. The game is on. I can't watch my show. So just kind of put it in perspective. What about it is that you fear, and go from there.
So back to the pro career that you had, so many young men have this dream of going pro. And what would you say to that high school, no, that college senior who's worked so hard all of these years and is waiting for that draft? What would you say to encourage those young men and women?
Absolutely. I know a lot of people say, hey, it's so hard to make it. Only 5% make it, 3% make it. And I mean, it's true. But I would say find out your value in the environment that you're trying to get in. Like that's the biggest thing. I still help a lot of young athletes and things. And the young athletes I've helped who weren't kind of on that pro line, pro path, but who made it there was how to figure out what your value is based off the environment that you're trying to get in. You can think you're good, but they don't need what you do.
Mm.
And so sometimes that disconnect sends us down a spiral because we thought we were good. And we are good, but they don't need it. And depending on how you accept that it's, it sends you through a spiral. We start blaming, pointing fingers. They're tripping. They don't know what they're talking about. It's politics. Coach tripping. Blah blah blah. But they just didn't need what you did, or they didn't know. So how can you convince them?
Yeah, marketing is everything. This day and age, you can have the best macaroni and cheese, you can have the best chocolate chip muffin, you can have the best, but if nobody knows, then it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter.
So how important is, on the Dana Spencer Show, we talk about building relationships. How important is it to build relationships in every area of your life?
Oh, ultra important, because there are people everywhere. There's people everywhere. So I know AI and things are becoming prevalent, but there's people everywhere. People have emotions. People have feelings. People have highs. People have lows. You have to be able to build relationships and understand what their highs and lows are based off of and move accordingly.
Now, in terms of relationships, so what's your family dynamic? Are you married? You single? What's your family?
Yep, I'm married, two wonderful children, wonderful wife, and we've been married. It'll be 15 years next year, and so it's wonderful. But you live with a human being, and my kids are human beings, and I love them all. They love me, but we're all human beings, and so you have your highs and your lows.
So, and what would you say for that someone out there who is looking for that special someone? We love a good love story here on the Dana Spencer Show, but how do you find that special someone that you can spend 15 years with?
How you find them? That's a unique question. More, how do you keep them? Because you might have already found them, but sometimes how we are in accordance with how they are can either attract us or make us go away. And so it's really figuring that out and understanding that.
Oh man! So are you saying that we could have? I feel like we may have missed some people and we didn't even know they were right underneath our nose. We just didn't know that they were the ones.
Yeah, because of what they do, how they are, and not saying you're supposed to just be gravitated towards what you don't like, but just put it into perspective. That just put it in perspective. I'm like this, they're like that. What are the pluses? What are the minuses? And it doesn't mean settle for anything. I didn't say that. Just understand that everybody's not exactly like you.
Right, that part. Oh, that is so good. Everybody is not. And what attracts, I mean, that list, as women, we had that list. Oh, we want them to be, 6 foot and tall, dark, and handsome, and all of these things when you're younger. As you get older, that list changes.
Absolutely, for sure.
It's no longer, I need for you to have all your teeth. No, I'm just joking. But it's just crazy how, as you develop, you want to be able to have a conversation with somebody at the end of the day. So what was it like for your family? You said you were, at multiple teams. What was it like for your family? I'm assuming that they would travel, you're in Atlanta, now you're overseas. What was it like for them having to adjust to those different lifestyles?
Yeah, fortunately, I was single then most of my career. So it
Okay.
wasn't in my career that I got married. So that was a little bit on purpose. I wanted to not have to drag somebody through all the highs and lows and the constant shifting during those times.
But then the flip side, the question came to me that, okay, so you're single, you're super successful, looking for that potential mate. I mean, does she have to be at your level, if you will, or are you able to kind of bring somebody up the ranks? What does that even look like?
Your level, your level mentally.
Mm.
Yep, someone's at your level mentally with a like mindset. That works a lot better than if they're at your same level financially, but you guys are vinegar and oil.
Yeah, that is so good. So what's on the horizon for you next? So you wrote the book. So what's next for you?
Well, currently, I have a, I'm on I help a lot of young athletes nowadays, and so in helping a lot of young athletes, I've just kind of shifted from the physical side to the mental side. I've gotten some of my sports behavior, knowledge down, and I help a lot. I have mental enhancement programs. I work with teams, athletes, and I translate some of that to the corporate world as well. Just like I would athlete, as there's so many former athletes who are now, who are bosses, CEOs, managers, and with people. But I'm really deep into the sports mental side of things.
So what if there's an athlete out there who's like, man, I really want to connect with Reggie. Like I'm struggling mentally. I'm all over the place. I'm making mistakes. I can't get back in the game. Like what are some things that you would suggest to them other than, and I'll ask you for your contact information towards the end, but what are some things that you would help them to get their mind right?
Yeah, absolutely. Assess the problem. Assess the problem. Assess who you are within the problem. Are you the problem? Are you part of the problem? And that's tough because sometimes you might look and you are the problem. And who wants to admit that? That's hard. But overall, just really assess the problem. Really assess what your contribution to the problem is. Assess what you're willing to do, along with what you're able to do, and move forward from there.
Well, and they tell us that only 10 or 15% of people are actually self aware. So, how hard is it for me to realize, you know what? There's a great possibility that I'm part of my own problem. Why is it so hard to be honest with ourselves?
Because it hurts. Because it hurts if we look and there's something that we don't like that doesn't feel good because it's on us.
Yeah, it's so much easier to say, oh, my daddy wasn't there, my mama was on drugs, or whatever that external factor is, than to say, you know what, I just didn't work hard and I just needed to practice harder or do whatever it is that I needed to do in order to show up. So, and what if you have made some mistakes? What are some things that we can do to kind of, pick yourself back up and get back on the right path?
Forgive yourself. That's one of the key things is to forgive yourself and then truly admit what you did wrong. Because if you don't admit what you did wrong or what your part in this was, like you'll never not do it again because you never fully took accountability for what your part was and what you did and what the whole truth, not half the truth. Like you got to come with the whole truth to this.
That was so good because, like you said, if I don't recognize what I did was part of the problem, then I'm just going to keep doing it.
And yes, yes.
And it's going to be a vicious cycle for me because I'm never owning up to the fact that I am part of the problem.
Hmm.
Wow, yeah, that is so good. So you have a mentorship program and you work with a lot of athletes. How can someone actually start working with you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to my site and kind of be able to just book maybe a call, an exploratory call, and to be able to see, hey, what is your problem? I'm not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. I'm not for those who want to still talk about what everybody's doing to them.
Mhm.
I'm there. I talk to a lot of people. I'm here to listen, but I'm not. I can't help anyone who wants to figure out, who wants to blame someone else because that other person is not here with us. So, but fullcourtvision.com. That's my website, all one word, and we can book an exploration call and kind of see if I'm the person to help you.
And how important is it? We think about, athletes on the court and we have coaches, and coaches are able to help us to see our blind spots and help us with that self-awareness. How important is it to, reach out to you or reach out to somebody else who is able to see the blind spots that you're not able to see in your own life?
So important. Oh my God, so important. But we got to be willing to, for somebody to tell us that. I've been completely guilty of not wanting to hear anything that wasn't good, and it got me nowhere. And if I ever do that again, it continues to get me nowhere. But the times when I am open, and doesn't mean you have to listen to everybody, but
Ooh.
the trusted ones, when you're open to that, it really helps you.
And this is kind of random, but I see a lot of coaches yelling at players. And it gets under my skin because I know there are some people who respond best from being yelled at. But for me personally, it might be the female side of me. anytime anybody yells at me, I like shut down. So, in terms of how to communicate with your players, is it the coach's responsibility to understand their players and who responds best with the form of communication? How does that work?
Yeah, it is. That's a big thing for the coaches. And trust me, I'm an old school guy. I am. I am an old school guy. I do like accountability. I do like letting someone know what their part of it was. I understand some people yell that out more than others, but what I encourage, like some of those old school ones or the yellers, is it working? I mean, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but is it working? If it works, okay. But if it doesn't, just be willing to try it another way. And it seems like some of those yellers are just hard to get that through because they like yelling.
And to your point, it has to be a willingness on both sides. You talked about a willingness for the athletes to understand and take accountability for the role that they played in the mistake or whatever, but there's equal responsibility for coaches as well.
Absolutely. Completely equal accountability. So it's both. It's the athlete and the coach, and that's what makes wonderful relationships.
So how can they build those relationships with their players? We see these teams that they're a new build. I can think. So I'm from Louisville and the University of Louisville, and we're in a rebuilding season, and it's tricky. When you're used to winning, it's hard to lose and be patient with the rebuilding process. So as fans, help us with being more patient with this whole rebuilding process.
Rome wasn't built in a day. you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Um, if you're getting the right players in there, and which he is, I mean, he's getting top tier talent. He'll develop his coach will develop even more as well. I think he has a good uh, finger on their pulse. He's always been a good people person from Kentucky days, but you give him time to grow in that role and watch what will happen because he has the talent. He has the talent. Just a few more supplemental pieces, not main big name pieces, but supplemental pieces, and watch that happens. I think they're really top heavy per se, name heavy.
Yeah. What do you mean when you say top heavy?
Top heavy. I mean, you got some names and they could play, and but somebody has to do the little things, and you have to figure out how to mix and find time for those people who do the little things.
And oh my goodness, what I just heard when we think about the assessment, we think about, the Jordans and the Coach Phils and the Dennis Rodmans. Like sounds like we need more of the Dennis Rodmans to step up and, realize, get those assists, grab the rebounds, throw them to the Michael Jordans of the world. How hard is it when you have a team full of everybody who wants to be like Mike and everybody thinks they're Mike?
Yeah, it's that makes it impossible. I mean, it makes it impossible. It's not a great environment. So you have to have, you need people sitting at all seats, and that's what a lot of teams with talent need.
Now, do you use the flight assessment with the teams that you are working with? And can you tell us a little bit about the flight assessment and how you use it with the teams to help figure out like who the Dennis Rodmans are so that they can step up and really work and create that championship team?
Yeah, absolutely. I do use it with the majority of teams. There are some who choose not to for whatever reason, but with the majority of teams, I do use it, and it's a valuable tool. That it's something that warms us up to each other, so I can go in further and do my magic. It puts a spotlight on the individuals within the team, and I mean, it's just a great tool that usually kicks things off. And we can reference back to it at times during the season or whatnot to just show players a bigger understanding of themselves and who else they're around.
Do you have that? Because in my mind, I went from, okay, I started working with this team before and now they won the championship. But I mean, what some of the do you have a success story that you can think of in particular who you worked with and you were able to help them to get to that next level?
Oh, absolutely. I've had state champions in the state of Michigan. I've had college conference champions. 6 coaches that have participated in my program have won Coach of the Year for the first time in their career. I have coaches who've never, who the previous season didn't have an NBA job, and after doing my coaches communication program, they got an NBA job. I mean, I've had a lot of success. I've had athletes who were not even in the top 100 in their class go on to get drafted in a few years. So it's a lot. It's a lot of success stories.
Awesome. That is fantastic. That is super. That's amazing to hear. So, like I said, if somebody is out there who wants to work with you, you shared your link. So I'll definitely put that in the comments as well and in the description. And what would you say? Like, how would you put a bow on this conversation as far as what you would want? Number one, what you want the athlete to walk away with, and then what would you want that coach that maybe is struggling, thinking about the University of Louisville? What would you say to the athlete as well as to the coach?
I would say, find your groove. If you find your groove, the finish line can happen. I think right now, sometimes people try to make the finish line show up right in front of them right now, and it takes them away of what they should be doing right now, the best thing that they could do right now. And so it's a fine line you walk. And so I would say, find your groove, settle in, be where your feet are, and watch things change.
Wow. Couldn't have said it no better than that. Reggie, thank you so much for being here on the Dana Spencer Show. And remember, be where your feet are. Until
Absolutely.
next time,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you.